Good evening. My name is Vince Noblet, President of the Town Council. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Today is March 14th, 2022. First, I'm going to take attendance. Far right is our town manager, Grant Kleinhans.
Good evening.
Next to him is town councilor, Eileen Fisher.
Good evening.
Next to her is town councilor, David Lindsay.
Good evening.
My far left, our town attorney, Bob Clutter.
Good evening.
Next to Bob is Jacob Bladesdell, our town clerk treasurer.
Good evening.
And next to Jacob is Gary Pettico,
Good evening.
counselor. And on my direct left is Vice President of Town Council, Gary Rakes.
Good evening.
Everybody, please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next is approval of minutes. These minutes for February 28th have been submitted to the council. If there's no changes or corrections, they will be approved as submitted. Hearing none, they will be approved. Next on the agenda is item number 3, ordinance number 1354. Grant?
Thank you, President and Council. We've talked about this a lot over the past 2 months. As you know, we did have a public hearing on February the 28th. There were several people in the audience. I believe 5 people spoke. I think our staff has done a fantastic job of identifying projects, putting together a capital improvement plan, helping our residents understand what those dollars will be used for. The proposed rate for both the sewer and the water, all told, is about 37%, and it will be, for your average user, 4,000 gallons or less, $14.30, correct? 70. Did I mess it up?
70, yeah.
$14.70, sorry. So just shy of $15, kind of that minimum bill. So with that, tonight is a proposed second reading, and if you approve, the ordinance would become effective. I do know we have a plan to put out some a press release, potentially do an email to customers. I know that's being discussed. One final comment, and then I'll turn it over to you for any questions. The rate will become effective on June 1, so that usage will be on your July bill, which is due and payable in August. So that's kind of the timeline for those increases. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have about that proposed rate increase at this time.
I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve ordinance number 1354 as presented.
Second.
You got a motion and a second, and I'll open it up for discussion. Do we have any questions of Grant or Jacob concerning 1354?
Not really a question from me. I just want to make a comment that this has been a lot of the things I've been involved on in the council in my now going on 4 years four terms in office. There's been nothing that we've spent more time reviewing as a town in terms of the engineering behind it, the whys and the hows. These none of us like having to do this. In my time, we've raised rates once. I think that there's never a good time to do it, and I would say that we need to, between federal and state requirements for water and sewer and so forth. We really don't have a choice. It's not just that. We have some systems that simply need updating in addition to all that. But for me, this makes sense, and we're doing the things that are necessary. We're not doing extra things. We're doing things that are necessary, and we're doing over, the plan is over a 20-year period. So to me, those are good reasons why, and the amount of detail that's been and time commitment that's been put into this is significant.
I'd also like to make a comment. I have struggled with the amount that we've proposed at first. I've shared that with the rest of the council. We've had a lot of discussions about this. Still, to a point tonight, I struggle with it. Yeah. But I think it's what gets back to me is our town. We are Speedway because of our water, because of our sewer, our police, our public safety, our fire, our streets. And if we want to keep our facilities and to be the best and to provide for our residents, this is something that we have to do in order to make the water and sewer to run the way that they're supposed to be able to provide for our town. So,
yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote on ordinance 1354, ordinance amending the Speedway Town Code and establishing a schedule of rates and charges collected by the town of Speedway, Indiana, from the owners of the properties served by the sewage and water works of Speedway. Second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have a motion for the purchase of police vehicles for 2023. Grant?
Yes, thank you. This is a little bit of an unorthodox item to have on the agenda, but due to the significant backlog in new vehicles, ordering time, in order to get vehicles next year, we're going to have to order police vehicles now. It's something that we still don't have our vehicles we ordered last year on the road. Should be soon, right?
May is the date that they give us.
Okay.
So, and we ordered them back in August.
Right. So if we wait till August, we're probably even further out. So one of the things I discussed with Chief was put together a list of those vehicles that still need to be replaced. If you remember, we've kind of agreed to a 10-vehicle replacement schedule over a 4-year period, and then we'll start this over again. So he put the list together. There are still 17 vehicles, 9 patrol vehicles, and then 7 administrative vehicles. So according to our practice, I would recommend that we go ahead and give Chief authority to order 10 vehicles. Chief can order any number of those vehicles that they believe are appropriate. It might be 7 patrol vehicles and 3 admin, but we'll leave it up to them. I know the admin vehicles can be driven a little longer, don't have to be replaced as often. They're also a little cheaper as well. So I would ask that tonight we give him approval to order those 10 vehicles, update us when they make that decision, and then they can go ahead and place that order. The reason I'm asking for a motion, a second, and then an approval is we don't have an appropriation in the 2023 budget to pay for those vehicles. So
Because we don't have a 23 budget.
We don't have a budget adopted. We adopt that budget by October. It's reviewed and approved by the DLGF by the end of the year and then becomes effective. We have no reason to believe we won't be able to pay this bill in next year's budget. That's not a question. I just wanted to make sure we had a motion from the council identifying we're ordering these vehicles. My other understanding, Chief, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we could potentially cancel these vehicles, or is that not the case?
Once we order them,
We're tied in, okay.
we're tied in, yes.
Okay, so I was wrong in that respect, but.
Okay.
So that's the item before you. We're looking for a motion, a second, and then a vote on this to order 10 vehicles.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of police vehicles for 2023, and that number specifically would be for 10 units.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second? And I have a second. I'll open it up for discussion.
I actually have a question for the chief.
Yes.
We're authorizing, I assume the vote's going to pass, we're going to authorize 10
Yes.
But you say you need 9 for road patrol.
That'll complete our road patrol division.
So if we authorize 10, would then get an admin car? Would just order the 9, or any thought on, because we're authorizing 10 tonight?
We will look at all of the cars and decide which ones are most
Okay.
in need to be replaced. Undoubtedly, it'll probably be the road patrol because they are used more heavily than the administrative vehicles and the detective vehicles.
And Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but is there at least the possibility that by the time these new vehicles come in, you'll have some that you may be able to auction off and then
Yes.
get enough funds in return? Maybe you can turn around and order the 11th one or something.
We normally do have extra vehicles that we auction off, and we do receive funds for those that we turn back and they go into the general fund, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What if the vehicles come in early? I mean,
Yeah.
are we bound to purchase those before the end of the year?
Normally, the financing has gone as far into probably the 2023 year. I know in the past that we've been able to do that. So that's a question that we can answer and we can look into and get back with you on.
Okay.
So basically, we shouldn't take, this should be subject to them arriving in '23 when we actually have dollars
Correct.
budgeted and.
The problem is right now, they are about to, the Ford pickup truck for police vehicles, they've already shut the orders off on those. And they've said that they could shut the orders off for the rest of the vehicles within the next month. So, which would put us into 2023 if we don't order them now.
And specifically for the audience, what vehicle are you talking about? The Ford?
For the police patrol vehicle, it'll be the Ford SUV, and it's the Interceptor SUV. And if we order any of the administrative or detective vehicles, it would be an Explorer. It would not be a police package. We don't need the police package for the investigators. They can still respond. They'll have lights and emergency equipment, sirens on the vehicle, but they don't normally engage in pursuits, and they're just responding to emergency runs, but they normally don't engage in pursuits. So,
Chief, we received 9 or 10 last year, and we have more on the order for the
Yes.
new SUVs for the patrol cars, those Interceptors. So what's been the general feedback from our police officers on?
I believe they
functioning?
like the extra room in the vehicle. The problem we were getting into with the Dodge Charger was the trunk space was very limited, and the equipment that the officers have to carry, especially the SWAT officers, was very limited in the back of the vehicle. At some point, most of the officers took their spare tire out of the car, and we'd have to have the wrecker company come and change the tire because they didn't have a spare tire. They just didn't have enough space in the trunk to carry the equipment, so.
And just for clarification, is the Interceptor you're speaking of, is that like a version of the Explorer?
Yes, yes.
Just a police version,
Yes.
correct? Okay,
Relatively close to the Explorer,
okay,
yes.
thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other discussion on the purchase of 10 vehicles, police vehicles for the police department, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor of purchasing 10 vehicles to be taken in 2023, signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is ordinance 1355, an ordinance amending ordinance 1346, establishing job and salaries to be paid to certain office positions and jobs within the town of Speedway for the year of 2022. Grant?
Thank you. So before you this evening is an amendment to our salary ordinance that was adopted in November. I think there are 7 or 8 changes enumerated in this attached spreadsheet there in the yellow. So I'll go down those very briefly. Chief's pay increase to $104,400. Deputy chiefs, 2 positions being created, with assistant chief being eliminated, and the captain's positions being vacated. Those are listed there. We're also adding a number to the number of positions for first-class officers from 16 to 17. This is a product of Chief's reorganization of the department. Excuse me. Under the secretary, the increase to $51,000 to reflect a current pay and probably what I would classify as a scrivener's error, probably. Commissioner of Streets, $75,000, which is based on what was approved and placed in the budget, but once again, an error was made in getting that into the first ordinance in November. A change to the seasonal labor position, increasing to up to $20 per hour. Typically that, while there is no justification or requirement for that, that is for a CDL driver. Typically, our other part-time makes $17 or $18 an hour, depending on experience, skills. So that increase. The final 3 are deputy clerk treasurers and a part-time office worker in the clerk treasurer's office to match parity with the other administrative assistant change that we made. So those increases have been listed on this ordinance. Either Jacob or myself will answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we approve ordinance 1355 as described by our town manager.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Open up for any discussion.
Grant, you described all these, but I think it's important to point out that the chief is saving us money, which allows us to get to that other
Yes.
patrolman position.
But if I might, Councilor Lindsay, Brian, could you put that graphic up on the screen real quickly? I do think it's important
I agree.
to explain that. This might be hard to see for you, but I hope it shows up better on the camera. On the left side is in the blue, is the current police layout with positions, salaries, et cetera. That total payroll is $2,770,000 and change. On the right is Chief Upchurch's amended salaries and structure. That ultimately, with some overtime savings, salary and overtime savings, saves about $41,974.82. So those changes in eliminating, I don't want to say eliminating, but moving up captains to deputy chiefs, eliminating an assistant chief position, even adding a new road officer, so we're having more patrol officers on the street, and in the end saving nearly $42,000. I think that's a testament to chief's willingness to consider different options, look at reorganizing things, and not just being status quo and doing what we've always done. So I appreciate Chief Upchurch and his willingness to do that, and I think it helps our budget, it helps our department. I think it creates some good opportunities for us. So that's my comment. I'm sorry, I overspoke. Thank you, Brian.
No, I think it's better that you spoke than I explained.
Okay.
It, so you did very good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But I want to thank the chief. I've been trying for years to get more officers on the street for you, and this is a way that you've done it, and greatly appreciate your work on that and the plan you put forward. Thank you.
We need a motion?
Yes, we do. I might add one other element just for clarification.
We did? Okay, apologize.
One other element, so you mentioned the officers, Councilor Lindsay. We approved in the 22 budget one new road officer, patrol officer. This really adds a second. We just need to find someone to fill it. The goal was to try to get 3 officers, say, over the next 3 or 4 budget years. I think this gets us, if my math's correct, 66.6% towards our goal. So I think that's pretty good. So we just need to look at hiring potentially another officer in the next couple of budget years. So anyway.
Great. Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion concerning ordinance 1355? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1355, ordinance amending the 1346 establishment of jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Speedway, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is approval of landscaping maintenance agreement with Vibrant Outdoors for the Holman Memorial Way roundabout at 16th Street and Main Street. Grant?
Yes, thank you. So this, in 2019, February of 2019, the town entered into 3 different agreements with Vibrant Outdoors for the maintenance of 3 specific areas. Holman Memorial Way, basically from the town limits on the west to the roundabout, the roundabout at 16th and Main, and then all of Main Street from the roundabout down to 10th Street. This maintenance contract involves dealing with landscaping, mulch, weeds, water, fertilizer, removal of trash. I saw them out there. Oh, that was your guys out there collecting trash today. All told, those 3 agreements since 2019 have totaled $69,992.16. I can give you each individual one if you want, but there are 3 separate agreements. The roundabout's $77.49, Main Street is $97.21, Holman Way is $52,521.36. All told, $69,992 and change. Before you this evening is just simply an extension of that agreement for one more yearly period. They are not proposing any increase, so that price has in essence stayed the same for the last 2 years, going on 3 years. So with that, staff is pleased with their work. I think they've done a good job, kept it looking nice, kept it up, and we would recommend entering into this agreement without an increase for at least 1 more year. I will say this, I think next year we need to reconsider and maybe bid it out. Yeah, and just see what happens. But they've done a good job, they've kept things up, and they're not offering or not asking for a pay increase, which I think is important. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agreements with Vibrant Outdoors as presented by the town manager.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, I'll open up for questions.
It's minor, Grant, but the address needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Another address problem. I'm sorry. One day we'll get that corrected.
Yeah. So just one comment to make, and maybe we come back to it later. I don't know that we need to amend the motion, but Main Street in particular, it seems like there's the rain gardens and some other areas that need a little more attention than maybe what they've received in the past year or two.
Okay.
Maybe COVID was some of that. And I know, Rob and others maybe work with this company, and they've done a good job over the years, so not a major criticism, but we may need to either redirect them or spend a little more money because some of them don't look great, and
Okay.
and just some attention needs to be put on those, just from my opinion.
Rob, are you comfortable and good with Vibrant doing the work they're doing? Are they doing it to your satisfaction?
Yes, and when we get to the Main Street, we was talking about the rain gardens. That is more of a monetary issue. Just like the trees on the roundabout, the money has to come out of my budget or somewhere we find money to replace the trees that are hit, and the same as the plants on Main Street.
Yeah.
Trees damaged on Main Street, any of the rain gardens, they die out. It's a replacement cost to the town to do that. In the contract, it does not state that they replace any dead plantings, other than they do 3 times a year. They change them into planters, And that's it for as far as, they pruned some trees, and that's about it.
Okay.
So any of that is all extra cost. And like one tree on a roundabout, I just priced, it was $810. So it gets pretty expensive pretty quick.
So do you provide them direction, or are they self-directed?
No, they've done it long enough that if I got any needs or something I see they missed, I can make a phone call to Pierre and he'll get right on it. And there's a lot more to it than a lot of people think. It ain't just Crawfordsville Road, what you see in the middle. If you get down by the old Tovey shoes, there's a huge area there they take care of. We still have the area down by the viaduct that also they take care of down there. They spray for weeds on Main Street. They do all kinds of things. It's unseen. So.
Yep.
One thing I noticed over the past several years is that they came through and thinned out where a lot of the heavy wooded plants and overgrown areas, they
Right.
tend to thin those out.
Right.
I wish they would attack that one place just to the east of Tovey's, the old shoe store there.
Yeah, that's
'Cause it's pretty well overgrown.
Yeah, they hit that every year, but once they get in, there's so many invasive plants. If they take all that out, everything out, there's nothing going to be there. You know, it's pretty bad because for many years it never got touched because it was out of sight, out of mind, and they wasn't directed to do so.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, he goes in there every year and does that. He was there last year, but it comes back so quick. It's like wild honeysuckle. It's back in a year. It looks like it did the year before. They'll do it in the spring. In the fall, it looks just like it did in the spring. Because they can't dedicate manpower just to that one and just every week take the honeysuckle out because you'd be there. That's all you would do.
Right.
So, anything else?
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I call for a vote. And approval of the landscaping and maintenance agreement with Vibrant Outdoors for the Holman Memorial Way roundabout and Main Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is approval of claims. These claims have been submitted to the council previously.
Yep, thank you. Claims made represent those from February 26th through March 11th. Those have been distributed, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the claims as presented by our clerk treasurer this evening.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion concerning the claims? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor of the claims as presented by town clerk treasurer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next is the utility adjustments.
Utility adjustments are for the same time period, February 26th through March 11th. Just a few payments that were applied to the wrong account, so we're refunding late fees that had been assessed on that. I do want to mention that we're working with our payment processing company to try to start doing a lot of these electronically. Right now, if people are using their bank to pay this, what's actually happening is the bank sends it to a printer, they print off a check, it gets put in the mail, it goes to our payment processor, and then somebody has to open that, key that in, and sometimes there's errors in that process. So you can imagine doing that thousands of times every now and then, some get mixed up. So we're working to start doing that electronically, which would transmit the information electronically. Still going to process a lot of checks. We still have people that, write a check and drop off payments or mail them in that way. But a lot of people are doing it through the bank, and so this will at least cut down on some of those and hopefully cut down on some of these payments that are applied to the wrong account, just keying errors.
I think it's important to mention a friend of mine mentioned to me that you have auto pay that you offer in your office.
We absolutely do. And that also eliminates this error. And as I think that friend might have also mentioned, it's free. There's no cost to do that. I do know, though, that as I talk to people, they don't, there's a hesitation that they don't have control then, that it's just going to come out of their account. I do appreciate that, although I'll say that if somebody has a bill that is out of ordinary for somebody, Sarah in our office does a really good job of scanning and seeing what's going on, and we'll take that off of the auto pay and contact that person. You also get an email every time you're going to issue a payment. And as I tell people sometimes too, it's how I pay my bill. I mean, even though I'm in the office every single day and could easily write a check and be there, it's the easiest way to pay. And like I said, there's no charge to do it. You just call our office and we'll get you set up.
I also can verify as well. It's a good way to pay your bill.
Thank you, Councilor Lindsay.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
What fantastic examples.
It was all because of a friend's recommendation.
So I think I still need approval though for the adjustments.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the adjustments provided to us by Clerk Treasurer.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. No other discussion. I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of approving utility adjustments as submitted by the town clerk treasurer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, now a report from the department supervisors. Economic Development, Tim Gropp.
All right. Good evening, council. A lot going on here, and so I'll kind of run through this real quick. What is happening back there?
Nothing, sorry.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
The nice weather has allowed Freddy's to get out. They're a little behind where they're hoping to be. They originally wanted to open in March. They're making up that time now, but I anticipate them opening here at the beginning of April at this point. Still possible to get open the next couple of weeks, but they got some work to do. Besides that, I know T&H Investments, we reached out to them. They were going to also have their groundbreaking this month. It looks like they're a little behind on that. And Valvoline is all approved, ready to start, and they just haven't been able to get a contractor yet. So they're working on that as well. So they've extended their agreement with Rebar another 30 days to tighten that up as well. So everything's lining up. Construction's still working out on the hotel, and you'll see a lot of activity over the next year out at Founders Square. So it'll be an exciting time. We are making a lot of progress on our improvements on 10th and Castle. The new strain poles are up. The lighting has been delivered. I haven't been down there to see if they've got the lights up yet. We're still working on trying to get the former poles. They had buried the electric lines. The former poles are still there. We're still trying to get Indianapolis to remove those so that project can be completed, but we've gone forward. It's not causing a problem with us getting our work done. That in conjunction with the ribbon cutting of the new Innovation Center last week, which was a wonderful event and a beautiful facility. That 10th Street corridor is really looking sharp, and we're hoping to do a little bit of sidewalk work this week as well. This week. We're really pushing schedules these days. This year, the Transportation Committee's looking at kind of filling in a gap on the south side from where the Speedway stops to the VFW. There's just a gap there where there's no sidewalk, so that's one of them they're looking at. 1300 block. I'm not in the office Friday, but Grant is able to tour, kind of do a mid-construction tour there. They're moving right along, trying to push that to get it as close to finish by May as possible. We're hoping for the same thing, and we're lining up prior to me leaving, making sure all the furniture and personal property for the plaza is ordered. So all Rob's team has to do is put it out there, and there's not too much else to do. That project's looking really nice, and they're supposed to be kicking off this week. I need to get an update, but our parking lot at 16th Street, adjacent to the Speedway gas station, we call it the land swap parking lot, but it's ultimately part of the Wilshaw project. That project's supposed to kick off as well. We're hoping to have that done by May as well, and figure out the logistics just in time for a May opening.
Tim, will the triangle in that same project be completed then, or?
It will not. Which brings me to the Wilshaw. On that particular instance, the hope is that they're back remobilizing by May. And that's still our goal, and that's still what it's looking like. And so they'll put the construction fencing back up in that area and use that.
Thank you.
There's been some discussion, nothing's been finalized, that while we're mobilized on that other lot, it would make some sense to go ahead and get that lot done. That's been floated out there as an idea to kind of offset it, just make some progress there. And we're going to need that triangle lot, whether things progress or not, and it makes a lot of sense since a Globe Asphalt's out there mobilized on the air lot to go ahead and do that lot as well, but that hasn't happened yet. So at this point, it's just going to be mobilized as construction as it was. So that could change over the next month or so, but right now it's just that one lot. As far as the Wilshaw, so we have been doing due diligence, reviewing documents. They're at a spot, Hotel Equities, which is the group that's looking to take over 33 Degrees is the financing arm. Hotel Equities would be the operator and construction lead on it. They are at a spot where they have paid the money necessary to move forward in their due diligence of their loan. It is a 60-day period, which is a little longer than everyone anticipated. They paid extra money to be able to kind of expedite that as best as possible. If all goes well, they should be wrapping up mid to late April. And we have had a conversation with Wilhelm Construction. They seem positive that they can be back on site in May, which is exactly what the original timeline was hoping for. We were hoping the financing would be done a little quicker. It's just taking a little bit longer. So we're teeing up still. You know, we keep moving in the other direction if we have to. We have a lawsuit ready if we need to. We've said since day one we want to get this thing built and find the best way to do it. We feel like we're at the end of that where it's moving forward. There's still some hurdles to get through. That being said, the last steps from the town side, we have an amendment number 4 that allows them to get to financing closing. We have to clean up some of the breach issues and items that have come up because of the breach. That's what amendment number 4 is. It also helps the town that if something goes haywire after that amendment, that we have an easier time to take over the project, and if we had to, we could tear it down quicker. Hopefully we never have to get to that spot. So it's our intent to get that amendment signed here. If not, before I leave, right after I leave. I know spring break kind of throws a wrench into that. And so that is only signed by the Redevelopment Commission and Economic Development Commission. We will then have all the ancillary documents, the funding agreement, third-party agreement, parking agreements, all that great stuff that will be signed by the Town Council, Municipal Building Corp, Economic Development Commission, and SRC. Most likely all of those will happen in April, assuming everything's moving forward. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any Wilshaw questions. But this will most likely be my last time in front of this town council. So I just want to thank everybody for supporting me the last 5 years. We've accomplished a ton. We have a great staff. We've had a ton of fun over the years. Some headaches, minor headaches here and there, like every town. But I've loved working with everybody. I've been given so much support and so many positive comments, so I'm going to stop talking right now. But thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
No, the pleasure's ours. I mean, Tim, you've been a very professional person with everything that you've dealt with. You tackled it. You spent the time and effort to do things right. The confidence level, Tim, when you were involved with these projects, every project is ugly until you get it squared away. And you've been really a godsend in making sure that those things go through. And I think you do utilize town staff and people that are there to support you. Like I said in the State of the Town address, the work that you put in on this building, it was unbelievable. You took an old bank and turned it into a well-serviced, well-run, well-organized municipal center that will be here hopefully for a long time. And you put your stamp on it. And personally want to thank you for everything that you've done for this town and keeping us moving forward in the professional manner that you did it in.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you is not enough.
Yeah.
To walk into what you had to walk into
Yeah.
and where we are today, outstanding job.
Thank you very much.
I was going to say something similar. You were handed a pretty messy sandwich, and you found a way to eat that sandwich and then start going to work. And people can make that what they want, but on top of all of it, you're a really good guy, and it's been a pleasure to work with you. And look forward to seeing you continue to be successful in your career. We knew when we got you that this was the first opportunity for you to kind of lead. And it's something you've said from the very beginning, you want to keep doing more leading, and you've done a good job of that here. And McCordsville's fortunate to have you. I know it's 10 or 15 minutes from your home as opposed to 40 or 50 minutes from your home here. And I think you told me you get 9 hours back in drive time a week. That's fantastic.
Sure, I'll
for you.
make that up in meetings, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll work. You've been willing to stay as late as it took, and that too speaks about you. But I think the good news is your family gets some of that 9 hours, and McCordsville gets to take advantage of the things you've learned in all the different phases of your career where you've been. And I know all of us feel this way, but you've been a pleasure to work with, and we want nothing but the best for you. And we look forward to seeing you again, because now you get to come back and enjoy going to the track and just being a fan, right?
Yeah, just please invite me back when that hotel breaks or has a ribbon cutting, please.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Those 5 long years.
After you take McCordsville to the next level and you start getting bored, you might give us a call. You never know. Might be an opening.
No, I appreciate it. I'm proud of the work I've done here. I love the relationships I've built. Everyone's been so kind since I've announced, except for Grant. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Has been so kind to me and said nice things. And to your point, we've come a long way in 5 years in this position, and I feel like I'm leaving. It's a good position. You'll have no problem finding a quality candidate to take on. And there's just wonderful things happening. There's projects teed up. It's way more financially stable than it was 5 years ago. And I think someone will be lucky to take over this position and bring new ideas and energy to the position. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for trusting me and allowing me to do what I do, and I will always think very fondly of my memories here, and look forward to coming back in May and not worrying about who's parking illegally in the street. It'll be great.
But you're going to have to pay for parking now.
By the way, it's probably going to be me parking illegally on Main Street.
You don't have to pay for parking, you can come to the firehouse.
Oh, man.
Unless someone believes what Tim said, I think I tried to help Tim understand how difficult town management can be. So it's a challenge, and I think you're up to the challenge. I think it'll be a great opportunity for you. We'd love to have you just stay here and continue doing great things, but we wish you well.
Your scare tactics have almost worked.
That's what I'm trying. Hey, we got 2 weeks left. I can keep talking to you.
I've taken more than my 2 minutes that Bob allotted me, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
no problem.
Thanks,
Thank
Tim.
you. Cheryl? Oh, Chuck.
Good evening, council.
All right.
Tomorrow, we'll be releasing our 2021 year-end report, and I'll just give you a quick recap of where we were in 2021. 2021 calls for service, we had 24,210 calls for service. Those were up about 4.3%. We were down last year in the category of homicide, sexual assaults, burglary, and vehicle theft. We were up slightly in the category of robbery, assaults, and thefts. Our arrests last year were 1,078. We issued 5,044 citations. Warnings, we issued 761. Ordinance violations, 328. And the officers responded to 674 crashes. We had no fatalities last year. And that is the quick recap. You'll be provided with the full report tomorrow electronically. We don't print those anymore as a cost savings matter. You'll receive it through email. So, and the other item is be ready for Shred It, April 23rd. It'll be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It'll be again at the old police department fire station. And you can dispose of your old paperwork, bills, documents, electronic devices, and they do the tox drop for prescription medication. So that's all I have.
Any questions? Good.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you. Cheryl?
Good evening. Just wanted to touch base on the state of the town that we had last week. I went to thank the community for attending. Those who did not, there were several that live streamed in to watch from their home. I think everyone's gotten used to doing that since COVID. The evening began with an open house. Several residents took advantage of going through the police department, the school, corporate offices, checking out the studio from the SCTV cable area, and then going through the clerk treasurer's office as well as the administrative area. We had folks staffed periodically so they could tell the community a little bit about what everyone does and what the functions are. Went really well. Then we ended up down here in the public space for the actual state of the town, and Vince led us through that with looking at all of the past accomplishments through 2021, looking forward into the rest of 2022. Just a brief summary of it. SPD and SFD Honor Guard opened with the flag ceremony. I had never seen that in person, so really, really impressive. Thank you for that. Fisher Elementary sixth grader Brittany Matthew led the Pledge of Allegiance. Father Paul from St. Chris Parish provided the invocation. The Lions Club, they kindly provided the refreshments for folks. We had some really, really good presentations from Dr. Trubley from the Speedway Schools, Sanjay Patel, the president and CEO of MHG Hotels. They're the ones who have the portfolio, including Courtyard by Marriott off Crawfordsville Road, as well as the new Hampton Inn and Suites coming to Founders Square. David Graziosi, Chairman and CEO of Allison Transmission, talked about their innovation center in the vehicle electrification area. Again, really cool presentation. And then the ever enthusiastic Doug Bowles from IMS president talked about their latest investments and what's going on over there. If anyone missed it, it is on the Facebook page and on the town's website page that you can go out and look at the video of the evening. The only thing I have are the 2022 events that are coming up. Arts Council pop-up art shows will be varied dates and times, May 13th through the 29th. If you check out their Facebook page, it gives details of the artist as well as the location and the specific dates at Speedway Arts. Taco Run is on May 15th. May 26th, Performance Racing Industries has a ribbon cutting and open house coming up. Rockin' on Main is tentatively scheduled for May 27th. We're still going through the planning process, approval process, but we're going to try and do 3 bands, 1 stage, beer garden. Should be a fun time, but again, watch for details as we put those together. The next Casual Conversations with Grant is being planned for June. A date will be announced. Run 317 is on June 23rd. Another event that's in the pre-approval stage is the Pro Street Car Show on Main, August 13th and 14th. August 18th, Daredevil 5K, and October 7th, Oktoberfest, again in the pre-approval stage. So, anything for me?
I thought I'd like to just point out that it was interesting when David Graziosi was speaking that, he stated that Allison's has invested over $100 million between the test center and the innovation center.
Yes.
That, would not happen without the town's investment that started, that they got the ability to attract the type of engineers and employees. They have 1,700 employees there at Allison's. They're looking at hiring more. Mm-hmm. And that he basically addressed a lot of the kids at Speedway High School and the kids in Indianapolis, that, you know, that is a career option and a very viable career option for those individuals. Allison is definitely putting their money exactly where they want to grow, and they feel that, you know, the innovation is critical. The same as the town. I mean, we're investing millions of dollars in improving the infrastructure and making this a better town to live in. And then I think it pays the dividends when you have your major stakeholders acknowledge publicly that, you know, it has an impact on their ability to attract the type of personnel that they need to make their companies grow.
Yeah.
So thank you for putting that all together.
You're welcome. You're welcome. His presentation was very good. He was very complimentary of Speedway and thankful for us supporting them on all of our services. He was really excited about presenting to the community. So
Yeah.
it was a good thing.
I was going to make some comments in my council comments, but I'll just go ahead and do it now, specific to the state of the town. I thought all the speakers did a really nice job, and started off with David doing that, and he's just recently become chairman of Allison in addition to already being CEO and president, so that speaks to the longevity that he plans for there. And so that's fantastic. Sanjay Patel spoke about their current Courtyard by Marriott property, and it's not only of their 30 properties, and it's only, 2 years old this April. Of their 30 properties, it's their number one performing hotel. And on top of that, it's the number one performing, it's in the top 1% of all Marriott hotels, which is amazing in light of COVID and the lack of travel. So, you know, the need is there. So that's another reason for his investment in the Hampton Inn. And then, so that was fantastic. And then to hear from Dr. Trebley and the continued accolades the schools get for student performance, which comes directly back to the parents and the teachers working together to make sure the kids are educated well. So I just thought they were three great speakers on top of Doug Bowles and Vince and Grant kind of leading it. So thank you for your organization of all of it. It was fantastic.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Chief Fishburne?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We started our interviews today for our opening and our lateral transfer. We got through 10 of those today. We'll finish those up on Wednesday and go to the second phase, which is an agility test for us. And we're hoping by mid-April, no later than the 1st of May, to swear in a new firefighter. So we also will be doing our WPEs, our work performance evaluations, over at the Wayne Tower coming up here in a week. We're starting to ease back into the community. Wheeler Family Fest at the end of April, we're going to be participating in that. And then the first graders, when they visit Main Street and they go to Delara over to the track, we'll be participating in that by setting up the trailer down on Main somewhere. Vehicles for us, not 10, but it does cost a lot. We are beginning to spec out a new engine, and normally that process only takes 8 or 9 months from the time you start until the time you finish. We thought we would be putting something in the 2023 budget asking for your approval, but it's 18 to 24 months. With labor shortages, supply chain issues that they hope get overcome, vehicles are taking no less than 18 months for an engine. For a ladder, it's 21 to 22 months. So the good news is we don't have to worry about budgeting that until 2024, but we do need to be thinking ahead. It doesn't cost us anything to spec out an engine, and someone will gladly take ours if we get out of line once it's in the pipeline, even if they have to make a few changes. I just wanted to make you aware our spec committee met, and we are going to be visiting a few departments who have different types of apparatus, different types of engines, We're going to be going up to Carmel, we'll be going to Pike as we look into all those things. The question was asked, do our vehicles have an Allison transmission in them? And yes, they do, because they are the leader in the industry. If you watched the video the other night, they have well over 95% of the market on transmissions for public safety vehicles. Rob's probably got Allison's in most of his also. So we're going to be doing that. And I would kind of be remiss if I did not. I know we'll probably do something for Tim before he leaves, but to say Tim did a good job is an understatement. He did a great job. Transitioning between new town managers, filling in gaps, continuing to keep everybody on the team informed, and including us in his successes. So Tim, what I would say is our loss is McCordsville's gain. And if you need anything at all, don't hesitate to call. Chuck and I are starting a company tomorrow, Public Safety LLC Consulting. And but all kidding aside, thank you. And I know what it's like to come into a situation that is not clean and pristine and try to right the ship, and you did a great job and I think it's always a success when you can leave something better than you found it, and you've done that. So best of luck, and we'll miss you.
Thank you. Tammy?
Hello.
Hi.
Working on camps. I've been working with the Speedway schools. We had a few last-minute changes on dates and times, and so I'm finalizing that. All the registrations should be open this week, hopefully tomorrow, but definitely by the end of the week for summer camps. Farmers Market, I've been working on that. I've reached out to last year's vendors and hopefully some new potential vendors. I've worked on some comprehensive rules and regulations this year. We've got an application waiver, all that type of stuff. So I'm looking forward to this season for Farmers Market. That is going to start June 2nd. It's a Thursday. It'll be every Thursday through September 15th at Meadowood Park is where it's going to be this year. And then we've got the concerts lined up this year. We've got 8 concerts scheduled. The first one will be June 30th. And then it'll be every Thursday except July 4th week through, I believe it's August 25th. And then we are also going to have the Art and Music Festival this year scheduled for August 20th. So we've got a committee working on that. And I, too, want to thank Tim for everything he's done. I said, especially when we were building this building, and he was the glue that held it all together. I said that all along, and I'm really sad that he's leaving, but I'm happy for him as well. So, but that's all I have today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Rob?
Good evening, council. We'll get started with the wastewater. It's business as usual, no major issues. Even with the rains we had, they've been able to handle it, no problems. And they treated 118 million gallons of water. A lot of that's rainwater, you know. With the rains that we had a lot of, let's say, surcharging in the manhole, which means it never came out on the ground, but it was underground surcharging in the manhole. So there's a lot of groundwater as well getting in there. The water department did 28 million gallons of water, and they're hoping to start up the surface plant this week. So that's a good thing. Save on the well usage. And street department worked weather events. The last one didn't turn out what they said it was going to be, which is a great thing. And patching potholes, which is a never-ending process at this time of year. So luckily we're able to get some hot mix, which will stay in there a little longer than the cold patch does, and it's a lot cheaper. So that's all I have.
Rob, how much salt or other chemicals did we go through, or have we gone through? I'd like to put it in past tense, right?
I'd say so far this year, we've probably went through 100 tons of it. Because even though we don't have the snow, when we have anything like an ice event or close to an ice event, once they get close to the freezing temperatures, we're going to put salt down. It's not worth taking a risk of, okay, we're within a degree, we're going to save a few dollars and just wait till it turns slick. We're actually putting it down before it gets slick, but we don't go around, as you can see, like other places and make the street green before the event shows up, and then it all ends up in the curb.
Right.
You know, so.
How much do we plan for? Sorry.
We have a contract for 400 tons a year.
Okay.
And if you have a good year, you got an extra 20 ton you can get, you know, if it's a real heavy year. But that's why we try to keep storage of what we have now, which is close to 300 tons now that we have on site. And I still have another 100 ton to order. So we'll be close to 400 tons on hand. That way, when we have the years like we had, 2014, 2015, when it snowed every day from Christmas to April 1st, we're covered. So
Thank you. Thank you.
that's all I got.
Yeah, I was amazed that, in 21, you guys put down 240 tons of salt, and then you already went through 100 tons this year.
Right. Well, and it's all in perspective of the size of town. I mean, Indianapolis, 400 tons of them is not even an event. They burned through that, with the state and Indianapolis together. They'll burn through 400 tons, but we got to be frugal, period. I mean, a lot of people see us throw salt, and then we don't throw it again until we get some traffic on it, because traffic makes it work. It doesn't do us any good just keep throwing salt on it. I mean, let the traffic do the work, we push it off, and then once it snow's over, we'll salt it again, and we'll clear it off, and then we're done. We just can't keep throwing salt one after another on there, so.
Good.
So Rod, Indianapolis, I know, sharing some of the streets' responsibilities, and I know that your team will fill potholes when it's really their responsibilities and such.
Right.
There's a couple of patches that it's probably more patchwork, like on Lyndhurst and High School Road. Are those?
That's Indianapolis there. Actually, I'm looking to get some pricing at Lyndhurst and 25th Street, because it's been paved 3 different times, and it still comes back as a nightmare. So I'm going to get some pricing from Globe, being they're already in here in town working, doing Tim's parking lot. And by the way, they was putting storm sewer in today. So they are working on that project. So that's to go there, and we'll see what we can work out in the budgeting, that we may be able to get something done there. I mean, it's tough when it's an Indianapolis street, but I mean, we can't let it go forever. I mean, if it could be done at reasonable cost, without having to rebuild the road like 16th Street needs done. I mean, that just needs rebuilt. A lot of that's on clay. There's nothing under it. It's just on dirt from years past. So.
When is that scheduled?
For what?
16th Street, that bridge, are they going to do?
Oh, yeah, they're wanting to start that. I believe they're supposed to be starting on it, I think. I got an email on it. I think it's after the race.
Okay.
Right after the race in June.
You were probably talking about 16th west of Maine?
Yes. That's the section I'm talking about. Yeah. It's got all those small patches in it, and they're unlevel, and that was something years ago that the town paid to do. The town paid to do that. I mean, and it's an Indianapolis street, and it's just,
looking back on how many years ago it was now, 5, well, it's more than that.
It was more than that.
When Mayor Ballard was in office,
yes.
we pushed pretty hard, had to get several of the counselors and others involved to kind of show up at a couple of meetings that he was having elsewhere. And I think, if we can't get help, we'll need to do whatever it takes to.
Right. Well, I mean, Lyndhurst was falling apart a few years back. If everybody, we had to shut down. We literally shut the road down, which kind of gave them no choice but to take care of the issue. But 16th Street, yes, it's horrible west of Maine, but Indianapolis has roads way worse than that in town that they got to deal with too. And I understand that. The many lane miles they have to take care of it, it has to be a nightmare, so.
Okay.
If I may, real quick, take some of my report time here. I'd like for you to tell us what your needs are going to be for this coming spring and summer in terms of part-timers.
Well,
are you still looking for a yard waste driver?
Yes, we're still looking for a yard waste driver, which was part of the salary change there to raise the rates up enough to possibly get a driver. I mean, it's hard out there to try to get somebody to work, and especially if you're requiring a CDL. $15, $18 an hour doesn't get anybody for you anymore. I mean, I've had applications out for over 3 months, and I've had 3 applicants for a full-time job, and they still, it's just not there like it used to be. It used to be you'd get a stack of them, and then I'll definitely need 2 part-time employees for the back of the truck, and this would be first week of April till first full week of December, seasonal work, and that's what we'll need for that, just for the yard waste truck. And I'm still looking for one full-time employee as well with a Class B CDL.
What's that full-time position pay?
If you have a CDL, we're starting at 18, which is kind of rough, you know. And once they get their year ends, $22.36 an hour, which I believe you guys are working on getting a salary study for the town. So we'll see where we stand.
Yeah.
So 18 to start for that full-time position, and you're not
Right.
getting applicants?
No. I've had 0 applicants with a CDL.
Yeah. I believe it.
When training a CDL driver, you're easy a year to train them yourself here, which most of my guys, all but one has, or two had been trained there. So that's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you, Rob.
thank you, Ron. Next report from our town manager.
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. Tim, just wanted to thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you over the past 9 months. I'm mad that you're leaving, I've told you that. But I don't begrudge you moving to a good location and getting some new experiences. I think it's great. So thank you for everything that you've done. You've been really, for me, an anchor to keep me directed and going on what we've got going on. So thank you very much, brother. Appreciate it. And then Cheryl, you've done a heck of a job. State of the Town was great. Had a great event. I really was appreciative of all the residents showing up. It was nice to see nearly 100 people here. So maybe next year it's time to go to a bigger location and figure out how we can make the event even that much bigger. So thanks for everyone. Vince, you did a great job. All the staff that showed up and helped out. So thank you. Appreciate it. That's all I have for this evening.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to reports from councilors. Eileen?
Yeah, I want to thank Cheryl for putting on the State of the Town. It was a good event. I came and said my hellos to some people here, but unfortunately was not able to stay. But then also to really thank Tim for everything that he's done for our town and what he came into in that seat, and just how cool he's kept, himself through that whole time. He just, I know a lot of people came at him in different ways, and he even just stepped into positions that was not part of his duties, but he didn't complain, he didn't say anything, he just did them, and it's just amazing. And McCordsville's lucky to get you, so I wish you the best. That's all.
David?
Nothing further.
Gary?
Just thank you, Tim. Well done, Cheryl, and well done, Vince. Your presentation Thursday night was very good. So thanks to everybody that had a part in putting all that together. That's all I have.
That's all great. Thanks.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, with the warmer weather comes folks using the parks and riding their bicycles and walking, and I saw a child almost hit by a car this afternoon on 15th Street because they ran right out from the park to the parent's car, and sometimes kids do that, but we just need to have our eyes open and be ready for those kind of things. So just be aware, if you would, please.
Great. I'm going to give a brief report. I just would think that in reviewing the state of the town for 2021 and 2020 and what we're looking forward to 2022, it is amazing how much work that our complete team did in 21, considering COVID, which started under David's watch and continued on. And, I'm amazed that you got done as much as you did with, and working in that type of environment. But really the town pulled together. We got into this building, and we really, it took a while to get our feet underneath of us. But given that, we still pulled through and kept our focus on the citizens of the town of Speedway. Jacob did a great job of, guiding us through all the financial woes of pulling into a great big building and making sure that we had the finances in place to make sure that it's successful. But I think From a police standpoint, Chuck, I really appreciate you stepping up for the job, and you're a great addition to the town of Speedway. And we'll look forward to, your year, and as we pull through here, and we'll go from there. And the same way with Bob. Police and fire is really the bedrock of the town of Speedway, along with our schools. And I think it's important to make sure that from that standpoint that we support the citizens of this town. And you guys are doing a great job of doing that. And not to mention the rest of our support team. And again, thank you, Tim. And I think we all learn by working with you. And I think it was a two-way street in relationship to that. And I really appreciate everything that you've done. So if there's no other comments, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned at 8:10.